marketing about 10 years, more or less, mainly focusing in content, lead generation, and digital campaign. And I need it from my English because, who I say before, I work in an international company and I have meeting in English with colleagues or European countries. And it's important for me have fluence and confidence to work day by day.
Very interesting.
Okay. Yes, a lot.
Yeah.
So we've got 10 minutes. There are 10 minutes to go before Paula joins in. So, well, I just would like to let you know how we met. It was at a meeting. It was at an event in Madrid. And I've sent a message to my WhatsApp community explaining how it was, how it happened. And imagine there were 26 tables, and the place, the seat to my left was empty until she came up and sat down there. So, she was the only American woman, the only American lady there in the room. And it's like, coincidence, a divine coincidence. So we started talking and we talked away over dinner. And then we exchanged our telephones and we have been in contact since then. And one day I thought, why don't you join, one of the sessions? And it was the last week, and we had a 2-hour catch up. And I suggested that she could join, and she's looking forward to it. So she's she's over 60, and she's got a great experience as a lawyer. So if you have gone through her CV, you could have seen, how many things she has done. And just in case you are interested in asking her, as many questions as you want. Okay. Very good. So very quickly, there are still 5 minutes to go. So Ado y Cheer, will you introduce yourselves very quickly?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
My name, hi Noelia. My name is Itziar. I'm from Bilbao, but I live in Logroño, in La Rioja. I'm a winemaker. I'm enologist, and I work. I have two different work. I sell for other companies. I work for France, mainly in French companies. I sell for the wineries. I sell barrels, oak barrels, taps, and different products to to elaborate the wine. And other, I have my own project. I have a new project with the name Wine for Business. I try to learn the professionals, businessmen and businesswomen to improve or to use the wine in their project, in their business, because if you have furniture, or you have suppliers, or you have clients, certainly you have a dinner, you have a lunch, and sometimes you have a wine in the context, and sometimes you don't know what kind of wine is the better option in to choose with the lunch, with the meat. And for me, it's important. I have yes, it's a new
Great.
project.
Great. Very
Very
good.
interesting job. I like it.
Are you
Thank
fond of
you.
wine, Noelia?
Yeah.
Yes, great.
I usually visit some or several bodegas. I don't know if in English is correct this word.
How is it, Ichier? How is it?
The wineries, no?
Wineries, exactly.
The one is okay.
Wineries, yeah.
Thank you, Thea.
Yeah.
And in the Rioja, I visit, I don't remember the name, but maybe in the final of the class, I see you the name. Maybe you know.
Okay.
Probably
Yes,
very, very
yes, certainly.
likely. Aldo, go
Certainly.
ahead.
Yeah, today I'm the only man from Leon in the in the room.
Yes. Yes.
Hello, Noelia. My name is Adonino, but everybody call me Ado. I have a peculiar name. I'm from Leon, but I am living in. I have been living in Madrid for 22 years, and for 10 years in Rivas. I know Bea here in. I knew
We met there.
we
Yeah, we
met
met in Rivas. Yeah.
in Rivas. Yes, and I am in my career. I have been working for 22 years for a American company, but two months ago I changed my work for a Denmark company from
Danish.
Danish. Stop it. No, okay, sorry. Danish company. My job is with is for is for is a metal work. Is I am a steel worker or so or less, so, more or less. I was working for this company. This American company is a pump company, and now I my new company is valves company. It's a bombas y válvulas. Vamos. Maybe the translation is complicated, but
Thank you.
and and I am 43 years old. I am my wife is Rachel. I Raquel. I is the
Yeah,
other
I need to
name.
again in the last session.
And we have a child, 4 years old son, and I don't know. I'm very happy to share with you this time.
Yeah, perfect.
Nice to meet
Perfect.
you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So that she is. Hello,
Hi.
Paula.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi,
Hi.
Paula.
Hi.
Hi,
Hi, everybody. Hola.
Hi.
hi.
Buenas tardes.
Okay, so that she is. She is a wonderful lady, and I had the privilege and the honor to meet her 1 month ago, if I remember well.
Yeah.
Was it? Yeah.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
met in Madrid at an event, and I was telling there that, it was a divine coincidence to meet you there. And then we talked away over the dinner about a lot of things. Okay. So, Paula, tell us about you.
Hi, everyone. And please, if I'm speaking too quickly, just let me know.
Okay.
Okay. My name is Paula Arnold. And as you can probably hear, I have an American accent. I was born and raised in the US, but have lived in the Netherlands, in the UK, and now in Spain. I am a lawyer, and so it's a little bit different, the study of law in the US. And so you spend 4 years in undergrad and then a separate degree in law. I am a member of the Illinois State Bar. Each state has different licensing requirements and rules, and mine is in Illinois. I'm from the Southeast, from Florida, but my bar exam and where I studied is in the Midwest, and that's near Chicago. So if any of you know a little bit about the geography of the US, that's really a little bit about where my journey started. I then moved to the Netherlands, to Amsterdam, and I lived and worked mostly for US companies who were doing business in Europe. And that was contracts for the most part for a satellite company, who then sent me to Washington, D.C., because I worked on quite a number of space satellite contracts for and with governments in the Netherlands, in the US. And my husband and I spent 6 years, 7 years in Washington, D.C., but we really wanted to come back to Europe. And so we moved to the UK, to London. And then that was right before GDPR came into place, and that is the privacy, European-wide privacy law, which is quite different than the way the US thinks about data privacy. And so what I transitioned into was consulting on data privacy and helping US companies to comply with GDPR. I've headed teams that work on the EMEA front, and that is Europe, the Middle East, and Africa, and also Asia. My scope is global, and I have an IPPE, which is a European certification in data privacy. And so, yeah, that's a little bit about my background, and feel free to ask questions.
Yes. How was it that you decided to come over here and settle here in Spain?
Um, for Spain, my brother-in-law has lived here with his wife, and his children have one was born here, but they've both been raised here. They live right outside of Madrid, and my husband and I moved to Madrid almost 2 years ago now. So, and it was really to be closer to family, and perhaps to retire in a more suitable climate, because the UK is great as far as work is concerned, but the climate, not so much.
Very different from Florida, isn't
Yes,
it?
yes. Yeah, very much so. Yeah.
Okay, very good. Come on, guys. Ask
You,
her.
I have a question, a personal question. You have lived in several countries. Which would you say is the best place to live?
For me, it's, I think, anywhere that you can have a balance of a good working life, but also a good private life. And I think that Anglo-Saxon countries, that balance is not really even. There's a lot of work, right? But not a lot of living. And so for me, I think that Spain is probably the best combination because of that balance. Things are still affordable here. You can still have a career and have a family life. And that is one of the things that I like about Spain. And so I would say right now it's Spain.
Okay, I like it, your opinion. I think that the weather is important too, because I know that in Netherlands is have a clearance balance between work and life, but I don't know if the weather is important in this case. I think so. I don't know.
And the Netherlands is a wonderful place to live, but the cost of living is quite expensive, and not just housing, food, transport. It's quite, if you do the comparison between say Spain, or even I don't know, Belgium and the Netherlands, it's quite an expensive place to live.
I understand.
And so that for me would throw that balance off, if that makes sense. Um, and yeah, like I said, housing is really tight, especially in the bigger cities. What we know, I think that's everywhere. But I think when you have smaller places like the UK and like the Netherlands, where there's very little space to build,
Yeah.
it makes it even worse. The prices there are
Did you live in Amsterdam?
in Amsterdam, yes.
I
I
know
lived
very
in
well.
Amsterdam. Uh-huh. Do
I
you know
know
the
very well
pipe?
yeah, yes, because very close friends of me
Mhm.
are living in Leiden.
Oh,
Leiden
okay. Yeah, yeah. Uh-huh.
is a nice
Yeah, it's
place, but
very close. Yeah,
it's very
yeah,
close. But
yeah.
yeah, I think it's the weather is an important thing. Now with the climatic change,
Yeah.
maybe
Yeah.
the weather is better, but
Yeah, and food and transport. I think that food and going out for a meal or drinks here is still quite reasonable. And I think Amsterdam is just people make money, and so you spend money on your housing, your transport. I lived in Amsterdam in the Pipe. I don't know if you know, it's where the Heineken brewery originated in that area. Very eclectic neighborhood with lots of shopping, different cultural mix around there. And I worked in Hoofddorp, which is, I don't know, 20 minutes away, and in The Hague when I worked for that satellite company. And so I would drive, and there's tons of cars. I mean, it's
I heard.
quite because it's such a small such a small
But Paula,
space.
but I know very well Chicago too,
Ah, yeah.
and the traffic is horrible in all US.
Oh yeah,
I
yeah,
think
yeah, 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 yeah. I
I
just
know
I haven't lived in Chicago for a long time. But
I
yeah,
know very well
yeah.
Chicago
Oh,
and
uh-huh.
Naperville,
Uh,
Geneva.
oh,
I
okay. Yeah.
I was traveling or for work to Elgin. Elgin is
Elgin. Mhm, I know Elgin. Yeah, yeah.
I have mates in Elgin in Edison.
Edison.
Edison?
Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Uh-huh. So
And
you
Chicago is nice. It's a very nice place, but the traffic is horrible.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I think that's everywhere. London is the same.
But
Absolutely.
and
Madrid,
Madrid, and
Madrid.
Madrid, and Madrid.
I think that has hit every major city. But
Where,
like I said,
where,
I
where,
haven't.
i- where in
Uh-huh.
Madrid? Where in Madrid do you live?
Fortaleza,
Okay.
yeah, right near the Esperanza metro. I don't know
Okay.
if
I
that's.
know.
Oh,
It's quite central, and you can get into town within, I don't know, 10,
D
15 minutes.
Yes.
do you have a
yeah.
car there?
We do have a car, but primarily to go outside and to visit other places in Spain because we have visited some places, but
Yeah,
it's
like
we
chinchons.
yeah, we were just at the Capa Chanel in Chinchon this past weekend. And we also went to Valencia with the train. And so it's a combination. But if we're going on a longer trip, then we would take the car, yeah.
So you have
But
a
for
car, do you?
commuting, we have a
Yeah,
parking
well,
space
okay,
in a
yeah,
place, yeah,
definitely. It's critical.
yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Come on, cheer.
For me, is I have another question different.
Uh-huh.
With the job, for me, what is actually because or people talk about the AI and
Mhm.
how does AI affect actually to you your
Um,
work today?
I think you have to make a difference between generative AI, which scrapes all of the information from the internet,
Yes, because for me, the
versus,
privacy, your job is very curious,
yeah,
is very
yeah.
particular.
But most companies will have their own internal proprietary, meaning they've created it just for inside of their companies. I don't think in the workplace, at least from my estimation, that generative AI is very useful because it's not factual, it's more the feeling, it's trying to please you, which is why it hallucinates. And if you're doing something that is fact-based and you need precision, you don't want something that's pleasing you. You need the correct answer, right? And so that's why the chat GBTs and those types of things, yeah, they're great for making videos and funny stuff. But when you ask it, do I need a visa to go there? It's not necessarily going to give you the right answer. And that's not, I don't think, what anybody wants. We want accuracy as well. And so I think if you look at some of the more limited AI that are not generative, because it's generative because it needs lots of data, right? And if you keep it tuned in on your data or on the data that you might have within a company, that's a little bit different. And there is a clash. It's yeah,
Yeah.
between our privacy and AI because it uses that information for its food. But with privacy, you have to have my permission to do that, my consent, our consent, right? It's our data. I had it's interesting because when companies, for instance, have our data, some people think that they own that data. No, they don't own it. We own it. It's our data. It's my name. It's my address. It's my health. It's my because I've worked in the satellite industry and also the airline industry on the software that actually gets sent for seats. And within marketing departments, they want to use that data, of course, because you've had a flight, and so they want to sell you a hotel room, they want to sell you a car rental, perhaps, or a cruise, right? All of those things are part of their marketing and engaging with their customers. And so there has to be a legal basis for them to do that. Either your consent that you say, okay, I'll take that cruise, I will take that hotel room. But if you don't, then they're not able to use, they're not supposed to be using your data that can identify you. Now, the next step in what a company will do is they'll say, okay, we will remove Antonito's data so it's no longer personal to him. Well, I can also find you by pinging you on your telephone, yeah, on your IP address for your computer, right? All I need really, and especially with AI, is 3 data points, right? To coalesce to where you are. And once you coalesce and find me, it's personal data again. And so AI is still, I think, in the throes of trying to find out how it can use that data because I think as far as the internet is concerned, they just scraped it. And there is jurisprudence that GDPR does not allow you to scrape data. And one way that the supervisory authorities, those are the organizations within each country that is supposed to protect, like the Spanish has a supervisory authorities, the Netherlands, everybody has their own. It's a part of the government, but it is an organization that is funded through the government. They're supposed to protect our data. And one of the things that they have done is to find Google, they find Meta, and usually they'll do it in Ireland because a lot of those companies are located there because they get the benefit of an English-speaking supervisory authority. They understand common law, and then you can do one European-wide suit that gets them in each country instead of going to Spain, going to the Netherlands. You can do in Ireland, you can bring all the countries in and have a one suit. And that's one of the ways that our data is protected. Or they can request that AI stop using that data. That's another way of attempting to protect us. But yeah, once it's embedded, it's difficult to take it out, which is part of the difficulty. It started that is it say R? Did you get the answer you were looking for?
Yeah. Because actually, for me, it's I don't understand because you speak with somebody, and actually, all people knows all about the EA. You talk about I don't know to sing a contract, and and you talk with the AI and not with a real person, and the real person have another context. And for
Yes.
me, I don't understand.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
There are some exceptions though. Anything, because GDPR, I don't think has to change a lot. What has to change is that the creators of AI thinking that they can scrape court records and marriages, divorces, deaths. Yeah, that data was not meant to be embedded in there. And one of the things that if there is, for instance, if you are looking for a mortgage or a job, GDPR says that you always have to have the option to speak to a person. An actual person has to make that decision and not the AI. And I think that is one of the ways that we can, I don't know if you want to say fight back, because nobody asked us, right? They just took it. But one way that we can fight back is by requesting a real human make a
Yeah,
decision and talk to us.
yeah. Sure. For me, it's very important. Yeah.
Yeah. And I also do not think that it will take a lot of jobs. It might take some things that are routine, but I do not think it's not going to get rid of doctors. It might be good at picking small cancers and things that, the human might not be able to see, adding in statistics, adding in lots of data, but the actual level that an expert can give, I don't think it will ever replicate those things. No.
And what do you think about, because there's it's I don't know much about it, but using some kind of procedure, the UA the UE has managed to have access to our messages and private messages, and have you heard about it?
I
And
have.
what do you think about it?
I don't like it, and it has been thrust upon users. For instance, when we spoke the other day, there was a message, not that it was being recorded, but that the AI assistant was present. And there was a white banner right across your eyes, at the level of your eyes the entire time. And it had a check OK, and I never did, because part of the reason, and you'll see this, I think, if you use AI, if you ask, where is the closest, I don't know, supermarket? And it gives you the wrong answer, because I think it is also learning from us how to form. Yeah, it knows the answer, but it wants you to say, well, no, there's one right around the corner, because we are also training those models. And so I think we also have to be mindful about what we're giving our consent to. Because if you look at, I think it's Claude in Word documents, it's everywhere. If you're using WhatsApp, it's following us. And I think it will only be a matter of time before people say, I'm not, because I'm not really sure why they've forced those onto us, except to learn from us and then to, I think, not control us specifically, but I do think that if you ask it difficult questions, then you get flagged, right? Oh, we don't like your opinion. And so it might not do it.
Yeah.
It might not do it directly, but because it's a statistical, it's building and building it, right? So yeah, the ultimate conclusion is that you're going to use that data. You're just not collecting it for nothing. And so I do think there's a bit of that social scoring that they talk about in say China, that it's learning from us, but it's also, I think, keeping score
Absolutely.
on what we watch, what we eat, where we go.
We can be sorted out,
Yes, yes.
and we don't
Those are
even
the
know.
good people, those are the bad people.
Yeah,
Yeah, let's
exactly.
debank those people. And I'm not saying that's what they're going to do. I just think that that intrusion into our lives is so invasive now that, I turn my telephone off because I just don't want to be, I don't want it to be ever present because it's not helping us. It was companies before, and now the government says, "Oh, you don't mind," and so they're forcing companies to give them that information as well.
But they are not doing it openly, aren't
No,
they?
no, no,
So
no.
if they collect some data that are not, how can I put it? They are not what you are supposed to be,
Mhm,
data which uh, put you into, let's say, the wrong side.
mhm,
And what can they do with those data if in
mhm.
principle they shouldn't have access to them?
Well, one of the things that we have seen is the whole
Mm.
debanking that people will not be able to use banks for
Yeah.
whatever reason, right? And it's happened in multiple scenarios. It started, I think, in Canada against the farmers who were blocking all of their bank accounts were closed. Um, and so it can be used, and I'm sure if there's recruitment, if there is anything with statistics, and you can put those parameters in around politics or around sex or around, there are so many parameters that define us. And people think that data, that they know who we are from that data, and that's not true, because I think human beings are very curious and we look at things. That doesn't mean and a really good case is I think it was Target, if I'm not mistaken, where a young lady was looking for, I think, birth control, and they kept sending her like messages, and then they started sending flyers to the door on baby clothing, and she's like, why are you doing? Well, because you need it. Well, no, I'm just looking for shoes, or I'm looking for a trip to, I don't know, Segovia. That doesn't necessarily mean that I want to. And I think because we as humans are curious, if I hear a word that someone uses, for instance, that I don't know the meaning of, I'm going to look it up. I want to know where it came from, um, why it's called. And so out of our curiosity, those things can be turned around against us. And you'll see things, at least in the US, now I don't know about in Europe, that if you buy dental floss, if you buy, I think the other one was covers for your furniture in between the floors, then you're one of the good people. So if you're flossing and brushing, you're one sort of a person. And if you're not, I mean, I'm not, I don't know though why we need to use so much electricity to figure out that sort of thing or to make funny videos. I don't really see what the use of it is. I mean, the broad use. If it's going to help us medically, okay. If it's going to help us move the post quicker, okay. But why do you have to look at my personal messages? That's too far. That's the balance that is out of kilter with data.
If you have to give us advice about who use the artificial intelligence, what will it be?
If sorry, what advice on the use of
to use AI?
Mhm.
What do you say?
Well, I would say try to neutralize any personal data because it can be helpful to assist you in translations, in creating, if you have writer's block, right? I draft contracts and sometimes I cannot figure out how I want to say something because my brain is blocked. It can help in those things, but I think you just need to keep your personal and other people's personal data out, or any identifying information, not just your name and your address, but there are other things that can identify you as well. So just, I think, be general, be broad in what you're requesting, and use it as a tool. Some recent jurisprudence has had some judges in the US, some lawyers who have used AI, and AI hallucinated cases because you can see case law in common law countries moves little at a time. On the continent in Europe, most things are codified, and so they don't move so incrementally as they do in the UK, Australia, Canada, and the US. A set of facts comes before a judge, and then the judge says, oh, under these facts, we can move a little bit this way. What AI did was move it all the way to the right or all the way to the left. It was hallucinating. It knows where the law is going, but if there is not a case, then the law isn't there yet. And so the judge sent that lawyer away and said, you need to go check your work because those cases do not exist. And he came back and he said, I checked them. And so he was fined. He had to write all of his clients saying that he had been sanctioned and had misused a tool, and we are responsible for what we create. And so if you're going to create something, Noela, you need to make it general and then use it as a tool like you would as I don't know, headset or your computer, right? Making sure that what it's giving you is correct, and then move from there.
Yeah, thank you.
Sure.
Makes a lot of sense.
Sure. It's a lot more work, but at least now you are thinking, oh, I never thought that I could use it that way, right? And I think there are programs now that can tell, I don't know if it's through metadata or how they can tell, because I forget who wrote a book recently, and somebody came out immediately and said that book was written by AI. It wasn't written by a person. So I don't know, because when you create a Word document or an email or whatever, there's also data behind those actual documents that probably give a telltale sign that AI is primarily involved. But it can be a useful tool, like any other tool. You just can't let the car drive you, right?
Yeah.
You have to drive the car. not.
And as a society, what do you think is the biggest challenge we'll face in the next few years? Because, for example, in my experience, I think that the people don't have information to use these tools. It's a problem because maybe someone put privacy information or data, and maybe in the future it's a big problem in her life, or I don't know. What is your opinion about that?
I agree. And I also think that a lot of times there are these deep fake videos, especially of girls and kids and women, that they take your face. And this has happened a couple times, at least in the Netherlands, to a quite famous, I think she's a sports presenter. Somebody made a deep fake out of her face. The law takes time to catch up with technology, but I do think that the laws that we have are sometimes adequate to be able to go after the people who are misusing AI. But my biggest threat, I think, in that in the AI sphere is the banking sector.
Okay.
Because there is a new program, I can't think of what the name of it is, that can apparently get through any bank security.
Okay.
And so, yeah, and it was created in the US and they held it, they wouldn't release it until the banks got their security in order. I forget what the name of
I think the name is Cloud.
I'm not sure if it was Claude, because Claude is out.
Okay.
But this was I think a financial system. I'll have to look it up and I'll give the information to Beatriz, because there was a specific financial software that apparently could go through bank security really easy. And
It's a big
I think
problem, yes.
that's a big problem because technology changes so quickly, and you see sometimes the people who are writing the code are the people who are also breaking into to take the data and to access. And so, yeah, it's I think that one's going to be that, and the use of energy and water, because to keep these mega brains going, it's a lot of energy, and it apparently uses a lot of water too. So those would be my top three.
Yes. I work in the dental sector, and we sales equipment like a panoramic, and this system have software, and this software have artificial intelligence, and nowadays is a problem because the cost is highest, because you need more water, more transport, more anything, everything. Sorry, and it's a big problem too.
Yes, and that will affect them all unless you have smaller portable energy, but also water, because it needs to be cooled. And so, yeah, I think that those are things that are going to not stop the development, but will probably slow it down. I also think that there's a bit of a bubble on the
I
stocks,
agree with you.
because I'm not really seeing how the company that I worked for before I came to Spain, it's called Sabre, and they work on the software behind reservations. There's three companies that do that: Amadeus, Sabre, and Travelport. There are only three of them because they handle global traffic, so any bookings all go through in Europe through those three. Now, Sabre, I know, just had a massive cull because they want to be AI native, but I'm not seeing the ROI, right? You're spending so much money on these programs, on developing them, feeding them, but what is it? What are you getting in return? I'm not really seeing where that is. And so I think that bubble, I mean, I don't know, but that's what I think, will eventually burst. And then things will settle down to where they probably should be instead of their stock being worth. And you saw that with Google stock, because they didn't really have a product until they started selling data. And so, yeah, I think a lot of people are investing, but in the long run, I don't really see, not generally, how that will work. But did that answer your question, Noel?
Yeah, thank you. I think that
Sure.
people don't know the impact that this technology in the environment, and it's important communicate that, because I made create by ChatGPT, for example, consume littles and littles of waters. Do you know?
Yeah. And it can be used for good, and it can be used for evil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As always.
Yeah, and like everything, like every tool, right?
Like everything else, like everything else. I've got another question. In your opinion, what is the big difference, or the biggest difference between the legal system in Europe, or in general, the system based on Roman law, and those based on, Anglo-Saxon law, or
Yeah. The biggest difference is that Napoleon, right, after he got things settled in France, right? Because, revolution causes chaos, right? And so he was able to calm things, and then he began to codify the laws in France. And you see that on the continent, that it's mostly codified law. The common law is the English system, and that is judge-made law. And that's why I said judges can slightly interpret laws differently under a common law system. Under a codified law, it's not that you can't change it, but you have to go to a legislature and say, we'd like you to make X, Y, Z, make those changes. The judges are not supposed to be changing law, because that was made by the legislative branch, the people who are elected, right? And in common law systems, and that's all of the English-speaking colonies, so that's Canada, Australia, New Zealand, the US, and the UK, and also in the Bahamas, they have the same. And basically what that says is we have basic laws for everyone, but because every situation is going to be different, right? Because you had a bad upbringing, right? You didn't have the money, so you stole something, but it wasn't so terrible. And so a judge can say, okay, all right, so that's bad, don't do it again, but we'll allow you to go. I'm not really sure if, and the other, I think, biggest difference is the use of lay people as jurors in major cases, because at least in the Netherlands, they have usually 3 judges who will be sitting as a jury, and they can never have a tie because there's 3 of them. But in common law systems, the judge is there as a referee. You have lawyers for the state and lawyers for the criminal, and they make their best case to a jury, say for a murder. And if the jury believes that that person didn't do that murder, then they walk free. And so it's more, I think, much more in the people's realm. It takes more time. I'm sure it's probably more expensive, but it sits so deeply within the culture. And
Adonino.
Yeah,
Andonino, I'm sorry,
no
forgive
problem.
me. And you would have seen that those courthouses in maybe in Illinois,
Yep.
where it's a different system. everybody who is, if you have a driver's license, if you're a registered voter, you have to go on a jury. And even as a lawyer, I'm still on a voter's roll, and I can have an exception because they don't want police officers, judges, lawyers in the juries because you can sway lay people. They want normal, everyday people to decide, I believe him, I don't believe her. He has to, right? And so those are the biggest differences, Beatrice.
And so there's a jury when
Mhm.
it's a big case, when it's a serious offense, when it comes to a
Mhm.
serious offense like murder,
Mhm.
what else?
Any felony, unless the defendant pleads out, and that's on the criminal side because you have different types of law. You've got criminal and you have civil, and civil are more things that have to deal with money. For instance, if I hit your car with my car, that is not necessarily a crime, but I do owe you some kind of a civil that I have to pay you, or because a lot of those get settled before they actually go to court. And there are a lot of plea deals. People say, I don't want the cost, the expense, the time, because it takes time to go through courts as well. But I think it's above a certain amount and it's usually felonies with some bodily harm included as well.
What
And
is the concept of felony?
sorry?
What is the concept of felony?
A felony would be something criminal, but something importantly criminal. For instance, if I stole a loaf of bread, it's a crime, but it's not something that a court would probably bother about unless I keep, and there's usually a threshold of money, or there has to be some violence, or as you know, in the States, people have the right to have arms. And so if you go in and steal that bread with a gun, that's automatically a felony because you're threatening someone's life. It rises to danger for others, person, or their property. It can be also a crime. Or if it's raining and icy on the street and you're driving through a neighborhood at 80 miles an hour, that can also rise to because there's danger to life, danger to people's property, to their animals, so it can get up to and usually felonies there's some jail time.
What is the process for someone to become a lawyer in the
Oh, sure.
state? What do you have to do?
Yeah. It's a little bit different than in Europe. The first thing is to go and get an undergraduate degree, and that could be a Bachelor of Science or a Bachelor of Arts.
How
Anything
long can it
that's
take?
4 years,
4 years.
4 or longer, but you can do it in 4. Some people do it in a shorter period of time, but it usually takes 4 years. And then you can see that, for instance, a patent lawyer, someone who does oil contracts, who needs to know chemistry, right? Those people usually come out of a science background. And so you can either have a science background or a liberal arts background. Mine was political science with a minor in biology. And then once you finish that BA or BS degree, then there's another 3 years of a Juris Doctorate. And that you go to a law school. And that is all they teach you is constitutional law, contracts. My specialty was international law, public international law, because you have private international and public international. The EU makes public international law, right? So those are the differences. And after you finish 4 years of your undergraduate, 3 years of law school, if you want to practice law, you also have to take a bar exam. And each state has an exam that I started, I think, within the beginning, with laws and rules. And there's also continuing education. So at my state, every 2 years, everybody from A to M on the even years has to have 40 hours of credit, and P through Z on odd years have to have 40 hours of credit. And so you take classes, and you can go in person, but I usually do webinars to maintain your good standing. You don't have to take the bar, but if you do not take a bar exam and have a license, you can't practice law. Because, for instance, in the UK, you have barristers and solicitors. Solicitors are the people who do the contracts and the paperwork. They don't go to court. If they have to go before a judge, you have to get a barrister. In the US, we don't have that distinction by law, but we do have it in practice. For instance, I can go to the bar, but because I don't do it regularly, I'd be a bit crazy to do it, right? I can do it. I've gone to court to help family or help friends, and you can ask the court to admit you for a matter. But I do the paperwork. I don't really go into court, but I can. In the UK, you can't go into court unless you're a barrister. So it's a little bit different. But yeah, those are the main. And in Europe, I think it's one long path from a university. Your law isn't included in a single, at least in the Netherlands, in a single diploma. Een meester in de rechten.
To work in other countries, do you have to take another training program or course to go to work?
It depends. I think since COVID, it has become more strict, but I'm not sure if that is not rather based on perhaps taxes and where you're getting paid from.
If you pay, you can work.
And I think it's more the taxes, because, and this is what I found, being an American lawyer, working in the Netherlands and working abroad, is that there are things or types of contracts that are basically anglicized, right? And so it doesn't really matter. The language might matter, where you're employed and how you pay your taxes and your Social Security and your pensions. And I think those are the things that really set the stage. Because, for instance, if someone who has a Spanish law degree or any law degree from wherever, you can always go to the US and take a bar exam. Yeah, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what your background is or where you necessarily took your courses. If you can pass that bar exam, or you get the reciprocity, because sometimes when you've been working in the law, you have a certain amount of expertise. And if a company wants that expertise, then yeah, I don't think it really matters, because you're not really practicing law, right? Because there's a difference between an in-house counsel and someone who is working for a law firm, say. Because when I work in-house, I'm not representing people, I'm representing the company and the company's risks. And so when there are Spanish law questions that I know I don't have a clue, right? Then you go to outside counsel and you ensure that those parts of compliance are dealt with. Because you usually don't, the rules are pretty clear, for instance, for GDPR. I don't need an outside counsel to tell the company what it needs, because I already know that, right? I have a certification in European GDPR. And so I can do that. But when there are things on specific Spanish law, for instance, if it's a holiday and you're not supposed to work, right? I need to know that too, but I won't know that perhaps. And so it's a combination usually of both.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Okay.
Come on, Ado, cheer.
In your memory, what is actually your the most interesting or challenging project you have, and in which country, for example?
I think Japan, because when I worked for a company called QVC, they're a television network, and they broadcast locally in Spain and Italy and Japan. And one person in Tokyo or Chiba sat under me, and that was a bit difficult because I think the Japanese are very um, cooperative and they want to belong, and so the group is very important. And when I took over, and when he was sitting under me, he was so proud to say that he had never had a data breach. And I looked at him quite funnily because people lose data all the time. And so it's almost impossible to not have a data breach, right? And a data breach could be I'm trying to send something to Beatriz and I type in a B and Outlook puts in Brenda. And I'm not really paying attention. I put in B because I've been, right? We've been writing. And that information goes to Brenda instead of Beatriz. That is a data breach. It's an unintentional one, right? And there are procedures for when that happens. I have to write to Brenda and say, Brenda, that was a mistake. Could you double delete that email, delete it from your Outlook, but also in your trash can, right? Because it's in both places, right? And I would delete it out of my sent folder and out of my trash can. That is a data breach. But that is a breach that requires you to have an incident register, right? So it's noted and you're supposed to learn from it. Because if you send every email to the supervisory authority, people, time, money to deal with the real breaches, right? When your telephone number or your bank account, those are the big breaches that they really want. And that's when there's sensitive data. And so if there's children's data, health, finance, being a member of um, um, being a member of a labor organization for some reason. I don't know why, but that's in there. Those are there are like 7 sorts of data that are very well protected. And so for him to say you've never had a data breach, it doesn't ring true. But I think because of the way the Japanese want to be a part of the group, they want to show, oh, I'm really good. Um, you know, I think that was one of the most challenging is trying to, you know, get more critical thinking into that organization. But lovely people to work for. And Japan is one of my most favorite places to visit. It's has very traditional and very cutting edge things at the same time. They have a very nice balance of the way they live. Quite expensive as well. But
Quite expensive as
yeah,
well.
yeah.
Okay. And coming back to the cost of living, for example, how much could it be to rent a flat in Amsterdam or to have a beer or, a normal meal? How much can it be?
There are no del dias, I can tell you.
There are what? Can you
There
repeat?
are no del dias. You know, the menu del dia, the daily menu, you know, the menus that you guys have here that are 15 euros or less.
Yeah, don't exist
No,
over
there's
there.
no,
Okay,
no,
okay,
no, no.
okay.
And you see companies sort of moving into that sector. Before we moved from the UK, do you know Klarna? Do you guys have Klarna here?
Runner?
Klarna, K
A bit.
L A R N A. It's like a credit card, but for small
Yeah,
amounts.
Klarna. Yeah.
Yeah,
I know it. Yeah.
they were moving Klarna into like Deliveroo's and Glovo's because people couldn't afford the meals, but you could pay it on, yeah. That's how expensive it is.
Wow.
Yeah. Because
Okay.
sometimes, yeah, people don't make, lots of money. Um,
But the
and
average salary over there is
mhm.
higher
I
than
think
here.
yes, in the UK as well. Yeah. But the
Yeah.
cost of living is higher, so maybe in the end it balances out. I don't know. My husband, who is Dutch, when we moved to the US for New Sky Satellites, he was really amazed at the low level of taxes that are there. The salaries are high, but the taxes are low, but you have to take care of your own medical, which can be quite expensive, your own dental.
How
It doesn't
much can it
have,
be? You know,
it depends on if you have cancer or something that is terminal, quite expensive.
okay.
And there are lots of people who lose their homes, lose their
Mhm.
livelihoods because they're ill and they don't have a safety. They can get help, but first they want you to,
Charity.
well, but they want you, if you own a home, if you own a car, they want you to eat that first, right? You don't get, that's the difference, I think, in the US is charity is mostly reserved for very poor people. They get good care, but if you earn a salary, then it's expected that you have private care, which can be quite expensive. And so you might get a larger salary, but you're spending probably the same, but it's just not being taken out through taxes. It's you're having to do it in a private way.
And
Is it easy for you to live in Spain without speak Spanish? Because in the Netherlands, everyone speaking
yeah,
English,
but
and
she can't speak Dutch. She can't speak
Yeah,
Dutch.
and when I lived in the Netherlands, there was hardly anybody speaking English.
yeah,
A lot of that has come through the students that are there because there are lots of people who are studying there, and I speak Dutch. And yes, it is very difficult not speaking Spanish. Um, I'm trying, and that's hopefully one of the things that Beatriz can help me with because I I, I can I can honestly say the entire time that I lived in the Netherlands, the only time I spoke Dutch was really personally. It was never in a work context because everything in the workplace has been in English, and I work for
yes.
American companies, right? Um, and in the UK, for instance, one of the things I got a promotion, and one of the things that I was able to do was to explain to the European lawyers and also to the US lawyers how they can come together. Because sometimes in the US, they don't really understand why the Europeans being so difficult. Well, because their data privacy came out of the Second World War, right? When the government went into a town square in Amsterdam and knew exactly where the Jews were. Yeah, that's where that law came from. Our law came from I'll get 10% off this telephone if I can get your address or your email address. It's a totally different, and it's not the and so that's one of the things that I do is to bring the US lawyers and the European lawyers together because sometimes it's not that they don't understand each other, it's just that they don't understand how Europe got to where they got, and the US is where they are. And so the work that I do, I don't necessarily need Spanish, but it would help for sure, for sure.
And do you usually come across people who can't speak English in Spain?
When I do,
What's your experience?
we try to use a translator app, and also a lot of hand gestures and yeah, and yeah, you make your way, you find your way. It's funny because I feel like I can fit in pretty easily into situations. We went to a place that did tail to nose eating, and my husband went to the bathroom, and there was a band playing, and all of a sudden they were playing the Spanish national anthem, and everybody was wringing their napkins. And my husband, he had to wait at the door, and he's looking, he's like, "Oh my God." So yeah, you just try to fit in and have fun, and yeah.
Does he speak Spanish? Does your husband
Mm,
speak Spanish?
Poquito.
Poquito. And what does he do? What does he do here?
He is a data analyst, and he works at the present time helping out. Um, they have a call center here for MSX. It's a Lincoln Co. They sell electric vehicles in the Netherlands, quite a big market in the Netherlands, and they need help, with their customer service and stuff like that. So that's what he's doing right now.
Okay.
But he creates, for instance, pivot tables that you can feed that information into automatically that adds it up, and then you can put it on a dashboard. And he's really a data cruncher. So yeah, and everybody has data and needs it,
Yeah.
cleaned and put into
Yeah, absolutely.
no matter where you
Absolutely.
go. So I think the skills that we have are pretty marketable. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And how did you meet? No, how did you meet? How did you meet?
We met at a gypsy jazz cafe in the
Okay.
Netherlands, like
In the
20.
Netherlands, because you
Uh-huh.
went there for work?
Yeah, I worked
You
and
were
lived
living
there.
in the Netherlands
Uh-huh.
when you
Yeah.
met, okay.
Yeah. And we went to, I don't know if you know Django Reinhardt. Django,
Django,
Reinhardt. Yeah, he
Django,
plays, yeah, gypsy jazz. He's French.
gypsy, gypsy
Yeah,
jazz,
gypsy jazz. Yeah.
gypsy jazz, imagine.
Yeah. If you look it up,
Yeah, yeah, I
you'll
will. I will look into it.
and
Gypsy, but you mean gypsy people, or
yes,
it's
yes,
okay,
that's what it's
gypsy people
called.
playing jazz.
Yeah, but it's a very specific cultural jazz that they do and have. And it's mostly French, and you hear it all the time as
Oh,
background
really?
music because it. If you look it up, you'll say, "Oh, I
Yeah,
know what you're talking
I'll
about."
do. Yes.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
well.
And there were some friends of mine who also played in, and I was going to see them, and he just happened to be there, and that was 26 years ago. So, because we've been married for 24 now, coming up on 24 years. So,
And what was
yeah.
he doing there?
He had come there with a friend,
Okay.
and we just happened to be at the same, and he came up and started talking to me, and I thought, oh, okay, he's cute.
Okay. And so you have been together since then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have, yeah. A little rough start, but yeah, 24, coming up on 24 years, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. Very nice.
Yeah. And I've been dragging him to the States and to Japan and to the UK but yeah,
So you
he's
met there and then you started, I mean, you were posted to the US again and then
yeah.
she went along with you.
He did. Yeah.
Yeah. He.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so we did the
But
green card and all the rest of it. So
he is from Netherlands or where?
yeah,
Yeah.
from the
Okay.
Netherlands. Yeah.
And the wedding went to the Netherlands or where?
No, we actually in Fort Lauderdale, well, in Florida.
Okay.
So yeah, made a holiday out of it and visited my family because we see his family all the time.
Then
But
good.
my family, yeah.
Yeah.
How does he like the US?
I think he likes it, but the US is a very hard place, you know? You have to work hard, save hard, the safety net. For instance, for employment here, you get 2 months, 3 months notice. In the US, everything is at will. You can leave as well within one day, and they can send you away within one day. It's not the same sort of protections that you have in Europe. So it's quite harsh, because you can be doing a great job, but they think, oh, we don't like you, so bye-bye. But there is lots of work too. So you can usually come up with something similar pretty
The work
quickly.
market is very dynamic over there, isn't it?
Yes. Well, because you don't have the protections, so you really have to work.
Yeah.
You don't really have a choice. But yeah.
Ado, you were about to say something.
No, you were born in Florida, but you studied in Indiana. This is far away.
It's far away. Yes, that's right. And I had never seen snow before. I'd never seen a winter before. So yeah, it was very different. And I think when in the States, people, once you become 18, you can go wherever. People don't really, not a lot of, my brothers all stayed in Florida, but I made the Midwest my home after I studied there before I moved to Europe. But yeah, people move, I think, easier because, there's flights, there's lots more, I think, internal travel in the US too, I think.
But always by fly because the other transport train or is complicated.
Yeah,
It
exactly.
can take a long time.
If you can even do it. I mean, some places there's no trains, no buses, you really have to have a car. For instance, where I'm from, you can take the buses, but because it's so hot, you might not want to do that. And there is Uber, but Uber's more for bigger cities. It's so yeah. But public transport isn't great in the US, and so people fly a lot more often. But yeah, I moved to the Midwest, and I never really moved back to Florida. No.
But Florida
But
is
this
nice. It's a nice place, no?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. But it's mostly tourism, right? Most of the industry is in the Northeast or
Or
out in California, Southwest, or Northwest as well with Seattle. But that's one of the things. There's lots of tourism and there's lots of real estate. Those are the main, like most of
real
Spain, really.
estate, real
Real
estate.
estate, yeah, because people want nice weather, right? People come from Canada. We call them snowbirds because they come during the wintertime. Yeah. And they own homes in,
Snows.
yeah, snowbirds. Yeah.
Florida is a dangerous place because there are a lot of hurricanes.
A lot
I
of
don't know
what?
this,
A lot of what?
Hurricanes in Florida.
hurricanes. I don't know if
Yes,
a problem
yes.
in this place or not.
Yeah, but a hurricane is a very slow moving storm. And
Okay.
so they change course. For instance, if they hit Cuba or some landmass, they can switch. They switch.
Okay.
And so hurricanes aren't, I don't think, as bad. The storm surges have gotten a lot worse because when I was young, we loved hurricanes because you could, as a kid, you didn't have to go to school and you could watch cartoons all day.
You
The,
enjoy
the
it.
power didn't go out, but now it's more the surge of the ocean than a hurricane can take days to reach you. And so you've got time to get water, food, to move, to go, because some people move around. We didn't usually do that um, because they can change course quite easily. And there's a season, and so yeah, I think I
What
prefer hurricanes than earthquakes.
But it's just strange because the houses are still made of wood. And
Yeah,
maybe
yeah.
it's better with stones or
To rebuild, maybe I don't know, but yeah, yeah.
why is it so?
Because I think it was probably easier to, yeah, like there were lots of trees, and Florida also still has lots of, sort of
in
like Spain,
in
really,
all
because
of the
there's
US.
citrus.
No, in all of the US, the
It
houses are
didn't,
in made.
yeah, I guess. I mean, I'm trying to think. Yeah, and I think it's because, yeah, wood is cheap. I mean, or it used to be cheap. I don't know what it is now, but when people were first moving and settling, they cut down the forests. But I think it's more combinations now of materials because you have to keep cool, but also retain heat. So yeah, but yeah, there are lots of wooden structures. The frames are all wooden with plyboard on them. But yeah.
And what do you like the best about the US, and what is with you, what you loathe the most about it?
Um, I think the one of the things that I miss is um sometimes the and this is more, I think, for the UK because they don't really cook outside a lot. Because in this in and here too, right? Everything is outside, which is why I like it. But when I was in the UK and also in the Netherlands, they don't. It's not that they don't barbecue. It's just that it's not a part of the culture because the weather's not. And
Doesn't
so
allow it.
that's one of the things that I really miss was that outdoor that you outside and you with big groups of people and you don't have to worry about bringing coats and because the weather's very stable. That's the thing that I miss. But now I have that. So, and the thing that I don't like is I think, and this happened while I lived abroad, is the sort of political divisions that have split families, and it was never like that when I lived there. And so when I go back, it's difficult to see people who don't have Thanksgiving with their relatives because they have a different political view. And I don't like that. But I don't like that anywhere, really. So that's one of the things that I
Mm.
really don't like is
And when do
you
you
know,
think it started? When do you think that this split, became so noticeable?
mm, I don't know. I could see it from afar, when they were talking blue states and red states, because those colors have always been. We got that from the English, right? The Satori and the Layla, same
Yeah.
thing. But when it became so vehement and so poisonous, I don't know, because people really do not even talk to like family if you've got a wrong political or a different political idea. And I don't like that. It's family is family. You don't have to talk about politics. Yeah, but that's one of the things that I don't. And when I left the States, I thought, I'll never come back here. But it's funny because I have dual nationality now, and I don't think I would live there again.
No.
No, no. I think I'm just too European somehow. I don't know. You just change. For instance, when we went to DC, people would say, "Where are you from?" I'm like, "Here." But it's because you don't know certain things. They'll be talking about, they'll say to my husband at his job in DC, "Well, ask your wife about that." And he's like, "She won't know that. She's been in the Netherlands for all that time." And so, yeah, there are things that sort of catch you out. Like, I don't know, I think I went to buy a bottle of wine at a supermarket, and they're like, "You can't buy that." I was like, "Why not?" "Oh, because it's Sunday." "Oh, okay." Because they still have dry states and states where you can't buy alcohol unless you go to special places, sort of like is that Norway or Denmark? I think they had a state-run alcohol place where you had to buy your alcohol. But there are things that I don't know. I don't.
But your accent keeps being American, doesn't it?
Well, yeah,
Or
yeah.
you feel that it has changed, or there are people who, finds it very different from one of the varieties in the US. Because that
Yeah.
that 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 sometimes happens, with people coming from South America and they come
Mhm.
here and they, acquire a kind of mixed accent that places you, nobody knows very well where. And,
Yeah, yeah.
do you feel that that has happened to you?
I think with some things, yes. But with other things, they're just so baked in. I can always, if we're, people watching at a cafe, I know Americans. You can see them, the way they dress, the way they hold themselves. Not always, but, and I know Dutch people as well. I lived in that country for so long. You can see Dutch people. They have the way they speak as well gives them a certain overbite, um, because you push your tongue up against your teeth. So yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's probably the same thing with I don't know, people from Spain as well. And there's some people who look like, oh, can't really place that person, and you hear their accent. Where are they from? I thought you were American. And they'll say, I've lived in Germany, or I've lived in, because I think it sort of mixes up.
I would like to ask one question more. I don't know if you have anything for us to become more confident when speaking English. And thank you for your time. And it is a pleasure to meet you.
Not a
Thank you.
problem. And when I don't translate in my head, because I've spoken Dutch so long now that I just say it and not translate it, because sometimes it forces you to think, oh, what's that word? What's that word? Just, try to relax and be easy with it. At least that's what I find with Dutch, and that's the issue I think I have with Spanish, because I get so tense if someone says like, "What? Tranquilo, tranquilo." Just calm down, and then you don't hear it because you're so stressed, and you think, "Oh, I know that word." But yeah, that would be my advice, my humble opinion.
Take notes. Thank you.
And thank you for allowing me to to speak and
It's been a
to.
pleasure. It's been a pleasure. We are very, very happy to have you here.
Okay.
I suppose we have enjoyed your company a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah.
Good, great. Okay, I've enjoyed you guys too, and
Pleasure.
thank you. And good luck with the lessons. Okay,
Thank you.
all right.
So
Thank you.
thank you,
Okay.
everyone,
Bye.
and
Thank you. Yeah.
thank you, and see you next week. Thank you,
Yes.
Paula.
Have a
Thank you.
nice
Thank you. Thanks
day.
a
Have a good
lot.
week.
Bye.
Thanks
Yeah.
a
You
lot.
Cool.
too.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye bye, everyone. Bye bye.
Bye.